Gather round, everyone, and hear again the tale of Drakfu. Welcome back, and people might notice that we are not in the hinterlands. We are actually in Booty Bay, so I decided to take a little bit of a detour to start off today and go visit with Mr. Oglethorpe Omnoticus, the guy who gave us the Meccano chicken. So let's go ahead and turn in the quest that we have.
Interesting.
Oh, you're the great savior of the 00X-09/HL. I cannot even begin to express my thanks for your assistance. My homing robot series needs more development, but your recovery has saved me countless hours of extra rebuilding time, as well as many gold pieces in manufacture costs. Please, take your choice of any of these items I have. Thank you again for your generous assistance, Drakfu. My robots are in your debt. And unfortunately, it's just plate boots, so we can't really do anything about it, but we could sell them. Now, unfortunately, that means... So, people might be asking, so are we going to start doing questing out in Burning Crusade? No, we're actually going to go back to the hinterlands. And for that, we will need, of course, the power of the magic cut. We'll see you guys. Okay, we're back. So, not only did we fly all the way back to the hinterlands, but I also parked us right in front of Jintha'Alor so that we could continue our questing here. So, now we need to actually make it to the upper tier, not the middle tier, of Jintha'Alor. While at the same time not trying very hard not to get any extra aggro or excess aggro so that people can still do their questing. We're not going to hurt them. There we go, and unfortunately I grabbed one. But that's okay, because now I'm in the upper tiers. So we need Vile Branch, Soul Eaters, and Blood Drinkers. Fine, whatever, you get it. Okay. And actually, we do need to also take care of Ongolongo, so we'll take care of him really quick. While taking care of these guys. He didn't see me go anywhere. Nope, he didn't. And I believe over... Nope, actually. Did we go too far? We might have gone too far. Oh, no, we actually are not on the right floor. We still need to go up. Up we go. Okay, so we have Hide Skinners. And Shadow Hunters, which are actually a prominent class within the Trolls. It's one of those things where I don't know how they would actually implement... I've actually seen people make a good, solid argument for a Shadow Hunter class, but since Shadow Hunters, I believe, are more a part of Troll lore, I don't know how on earth you would do it. How on earth you would make it awesome. There's lots of problems with it, but I actually am one of the people that would love a Shadow Hunter class if they can make it work like a hero class. You start at a certain point. I think you would need like a Troll expansion to be able to do it right, but, well, we still haven't found the continent or city of Jintha'Alor, so it is possible. And there's our friend Ongolongo. Hey, buddy. We just need to get you pissed off. That's gonna be okay, right? Hi, Ongolongo. Bye, buddy. Oh no, he's enraged! Hi, Mr. Handler. You know what? I want to see this happen. And bye-bye. Leave Ongolongo alone! No more! Ongolongo, go home! You get back in that bin! Puny trolls not stop Ongolongo! That was worth it. Alright, and so we actually do need blood drinkers, so let's take care of these guys. Thank you. So we have 2 of the 5. Unfortunately, we don't need hide skinners. We need soul eaters. Oh, and blood drinkers over here. Wee-ya! Let's gather you all up. Fist of Fury! I still remember back in vanilla, you could never get away with that. Never would work. And I leveled a warrior, so I know the pain. Having to eat every 2 or 3 mobs just to keep going. And I even made things harder for myself. I hate to admit this now, but I did level prot. Because people were asking me to tank, and I needed to figure out how it worked. So I literally leveled prot. I'm just gonna wait for you guys to put in the comments, oh man, you were stupid. Well, I know this isn't going to justify my cause, but at the time, it made sense. I was brand spanking new to MMOs. I didn't exactly know what a tank was at that time. So it made sense to actually level prot, level in protection, and to learn how it was that I was supposed to be tanking. Let's see, we got blood drinkers. Is there a single soul eater up here? No. And those are blood drinkers. So yeah, I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comments. Yes, I did a stupid thing. It's not the first time I've done something that others would consider to be odd or weird. I leveled prot because I wanted to be able to know what I was doing. And I'm glad I did, because that was probably the best way for me to learn tanking abilities without actually knowing the role that I was taking on. I actually had to be taught what a tank was. And I'm not saying that I was bad at it or anything like that. Far from it. I was really good. It was just at that point I didn't understand the concepts of things like aggro and threat tables. So I had to be taught those details. And also that just pursuing things like stamina wasn't everything you needed to be a good tank. You needed also, at the time, you needed defense rating, you needed dodge. For a warrior tank, you needed block to an extent, but block wasn't exactly a stat in Burning Crusade. It became a stat in Wrath of the Lich King, but block, I believe, was more for a prot paladin, I think? We had the whole critical block concept in Wrath of the Lich King, but I remember, I think it was prot paladins. They actually needed to have more block than prot warriors. For some weird reason. Never made sense to me because, you know, we were supposed to be the ones that were critical blocking. Fist of Fury! Bye-bye, doggies. Oh, hi, doggies. We need one more Soul Eater. One freaking more. There's a Shadow Hunter. Where's a Soul Eater? I need a Eater of Souls. It's a Hide Skinner. Where is an Eater of Souls? This is one of those things I hate. Oh, there's one. It's on the lower tier, it looks like. So maybe on our way, we'll run across another one, and then we don't need to go too far off. All these dead trolls. What happened? They were all sacrificed. Blood Drinker. Blood Drinker. Soul Eater. There we go, all 5. Now we just need to get the Shadra spawn Venom Sacks. Not sacks. Sacks. Like bags. That'd be cool. A Venom sax? Venom saxophone? Its venom is the power of jazz. It brings you down with its sultry tones. So, yeah, Spawn of Shadra. I have a feeling this is going to give me my, Venom samples. Not sax. Although still, a Venom sack, or Venom saxophone would be awesome! Got 1 out of the 2. So we're 1/3 of the way there. More spiders. Nothing from you. Wah! There we go. We're halfway there. So this is actually usually the time where I will answer some WoW-based questions that I actually am getting for Tale of Drakfu. Some of them I'm going to limit to top 10s, but there are a few that are unique. One of which was, what was your first ever World of Warcraft dungeon? I actually asked to get a clarification, but so I'm going to answer it in 2 ways. The first ever dungeon that I went into was the Dead Mines. That's not exciting. I was playing on Alliance. But the other thing, too, was I was being brought in to be a warrior tank for my older brother's guild at the time. And, I mean, ultimately they found a replacement and then just kind of left me for dead. Yeah, I just barely had lunch. So at that point I was a little irritated by that. But anyway, one of their goals was that my brother and his 2 friends were primarily casters. And so they would run me through the lower dungeons to help me get really good, for lack of a better term, tanking gear so that I could learn on my own. The problem is that, like with any person that you basically offer to do overpowered dungeon runs with, I didn't want to run on my own. I wanted them to run me through everything so that I could get the quest rewards and continue on in the pace that I wanted to go. So my first ever dungeon was the Dead Mines, and I remember that night because my older brother was about to murder me. And I was like, well, why? Did you suck that bad? No, what happened is that, again, I didn't understand the concept of aggro or threat in the game. I hadn't played an MMO up until this point, so rules of aggression had never been something that I dealt with. Final Fantasy XII was out at that point, but even then, like, if you had told me that rules of aggression was in 12 at the time, I probably would have laughed you in the face. Like, what's this rules of aggression you're talking about? And so I ran through it, but I kept dying because I'm one of those guys that just has to contribute. I have to be able to pull my own weight. And so excuse me. This is what happens when I do this right after lunch. I had to help. And he was running through on his mage and just kind of arcane explosioning everything in the dungeon, except I'm going in there and getting killed, which means I then have to run all the way back because at that point there were no such things as like graveyards within dungeons or things to make it easier to get around. So I was in essence making the dungeon harder. And he only had like so much time because this is around the time my older brother's 3rd daughter was being born. And so he only had so much time to work with. And he got mad at me. He was about to walk out on me. He then, like, since I didn't have vent at the time, he just basically called me up and went, "Okay, I love you. Stop running in. I just want you to loot." I was like, but I have to help. You know, I'm supposed to tank for you, right? And even then, I'm not really understanding the concept of a tank. I'm like it being a stalwart defender. Just I thought I was a giant bag of HP, and that made me better for some reason. I hadn't thought it all the way through at the time, people. Oh man, that's embarrassing to admit, but you know that's how I came to an MMO, and everybody has a silly story when they came to an MMO. And so at that point, he explained, "No, this is how aggro works. Nothing is ever going to aggro me because I'm level 60 and I'm just coming in here and murdering everything. But if you go like 2 steps ahead of me, you're aggroing the entire dungeon and making this harder for me." Because around that time, you know, mages could own, but they had to play it safe to some extent. And for people who are wondering what I'm doing, I have actually completed all the quests, so I'm going to go turn them in really quick. And so at that point, I was just like, oh, okay. So you don't want me to do anything? No, because you're making this harder for me. Okay. I don't like that, but okay. And at that point, his mage wasn't even 70. Like his, I think it was almost 70. Because at the time, he was working with a 1025 guild that eventually split off. And actually, I'm trying to think. I think it was because of him. In essence, well, it wasn't really. And the details there is just one of the main reasons why you never, ever want to be a loot whore. Let's go ahead and turn in these quests, and then I'll continue the story. Let's see. So, Eliza Darkrin, Venomous Secrets. Have you the venom? Yes. That whole nostalgic smell. You've done well for the Forsaken and the Horde. And congratulations to our mage friend who just barely dinged. Remember. Okay, so Primal Torntusk. It's ours now. There are none left to oppose Reventusk. Any stragglers will be quickly taken care of. You've done my people a great honor, Drakfu. Okay, so we could get shoulders, and we probably should. It's been a while since we've improved it. Yeah, we're gonna get shoulders. And boing! Level 37! So really quick, let's put on the new shoulders. Yay! Oh, wait. It's just one shoulder. That's how awesome I am. And Ongolongo's Revenge. I wish I could have been there to see it, Drakfu. I'll have to hear the story from Ongolongo himself when this is over. Alright, so Summit of Fate. You have done well cleaving through their warriors, Drakfu. I'd like you to investigate the summit of Jintha'Alor. We were prepared for our fiercest battle there, to storm their dark altar, but it's too quiet, not a sound. It could be a terrible trap, and someone strong should look into it first, instead of all of us rushing in. And if it's not a trap, I'm very interested in finding out what happened up there. Bring me back any clues you can find. Okay, so we need spider idols. So we really should have held the spider quest back, because now we gotta go do it. Anyway, so yeah, back to the story. My brother got super pissed with me. And at that point, I learned my lesson. I still didn't understand how aggro and threat worked, but I at least knew, okay, if my brother's gonna run me through anything here, don't go ahead. Don't try and contribute until later on. So that was my first instance experience. My first ever legit instance that like didn't fall apart or anything like that, like that completed, probably would have been in the Burning Crusade. Yeah, it would have been, I'm like double checking in my head, but yeah, it would have been the Burning Crusade when I started tanking for, at that time, my first guild. And I had to learn the hard way. Like, I got tested, and I didn't even realize I was getting tested for tanking by tanking Black Morass for them. And I hadn't done the instance before. I was basically at their mercy. Like, they could have told me to do something stupid, and I could have lost my app status within that guild. But thankfully, the guy who recruited me was the main tank of the guild and the GM. And so he ran me through Black Morass to see what I could do. And obviously, I'm in just decked in stamina gear. I'm not even worrying about defensive rating because, well, I don't see the point. I'm supposed to be a walking bag of HP, right? No, that's not how it works at all, and I'm ashamed to admit that. Because it just changed over time, and so he pulls me aside, he brings this hunter, and actually has, like, a real legit pissed off moment at me. It's like, okay, I can see you know what you're doing, but I don't think you understand what a tank is. It's like, well, I'm like, because at that point I kind of got it. I'm like, well, I'm like the defender of the group, right? It's like, yeah, but you're not using cooldowns. Like, what do you mean? Well, you're supposed to be using things like shield wall. And I've seen you use it once, but you aren't using it regularly. Well, I have tons of HP. I don't think I need that unless I'm facing something with millions of HP. No, you kind of need that. You also need defensive rating. Why have you not been getting defensive rating? Because I've got raw HP. You see the problem here? And so he's like, well, but yeah, you're a raw bag of HP, but you're taking tons of damage too. Enough so that your healer's having trouble catching up. Like, okay, well, is there a way to fix that? Yes, you need defensive rating. And you need dodge. You need to be able to actually dodge some hits. You need to be able to parry hits. You need to be able to block them. That was another thing, too, is like one of the staples of... I was all combat. I was not worrying about things like shield block at the time. Okay, so that's all the spider idols. So let's take these back and get the next quest. This is kind of the part of Jintha'Alor I don't like, where you're bouncing back and forth up to the upper tier. Maybe I should have kept the spider one till the end. Then at that point I would have gotten more stuff done. Yeah, because I got to go all the way back down again. And so I kind of had that real major moment of, you either need to fix this or we can't use you. And I really wanted to raid at that time, because at that time my brother was still doing, like, his guild eventually went to just strictly 10-man content, but he was doing 25-man at that time. He was doing tier 5 progression. And I wanted to go in there, because at that point, when I was leveling, I also picked up Warcraft 3 again, because I didn't remember enough of the story, and I had never actually played through the Frozen Throne. And so at that point, I got very familiar with who Kael'thas Sunstrider and who Lady Vaj were, and I'm like, I want to see, these guys are bosses, I want to be able to fight them. Well, you need to be able to do this, and like I said, at that point, that guild was trying to bring me in as a warrior tank, but they had since replaced their spot, and they no longer cared at that point. So that sucked. Let's go ahead and turn this in really quick. What did you find? Did all of them around the altar? And you found these spider idols on them. A mass sacrifice. They threw their lives to Shadra. So hunt the keeper. Kotunga has told me of Shadra. She is the Venom Queen, the Lord of Spiders. Worshipped in darkness, if the Vile branch are performing rituals, I'm not going to let them finish. Check the cave behind the altar at the top of Jintha'Alor. Deep within it, one of Shadra's keepers might still be lurking. Kill her and take whatever she carries back here, so we can know what's going on. Alright. So now we need to go get the Tablet of Shadra by killing the Keeper of Shadra. Troll Loas, man. It gets weird. I mean, I still remember reading Vulging Shadows of the Horde and still not even getting a tenth of who the Loa were and their role to play in the story. So yeah, that kind of happened. And so yeah, my first experience in a dungeon was in the Dead Mines with my older brother basically pounding me through it. And then my first ever experience as a tank would have been in, Black Morass in Burning Crusade. So I hope that answers your question without getting horribly too wordy. That's one of those things, is like you start off, and this was before, I think I came in... Yeah, because in BC was when they started implementing the recruit a friend bonuses, like mounts and stuff like that. And so I still remember the Zevra mount being offered, and my brother actually kind of cursing me. He was like, man, if we'd only waited like 6 months, then I could have given you a recruit a friend. We could have leveled together. And that way we could have taught you tanking, and we could have figured out all of that stuff. But then at that point, 6 months later, he would not be raiding. At least not with his current guild. Thankfully, though, we found a better guild. Or we both found better guilds. He went to Relic before I did, and started working with their progression team on Ulduar in Wrath of the Lich King, and I came in during Icecrown Citadel, when that had just barely opened. Okay, so we're going into the Spider Cave, the Spider Cave. Spider Cave, Spider Cave. Does whatever a Spider Cave does. Oh, and is there minerals in here? Yes, there are! Iron deposits! Plenty of them. So, let's go ahead and make our way to the back of the cave. And of course, I've also answered, like, what was my first raiding experience? Actually, no, I haven't answered this. I started in Karazhan for a raiding team, but my first ever experience actually was in a retro run of Azuragos, a former world boss that now is part of the artifact quest lines in Legion. And I also went into a retro run of ZG, so the old ZG, and I didn't make it that far. Because at that point, this was the time where I knew what I was doing, but I sucked because of the lack of gear. So I would advertise myself as a tank, but I was far from. I didn't have half the gear I needed. Alright, so here's your keeper. Mortagia, that keeper. Why, thank you. Give me your tablet of Shadra. So yeah, I was basically going in there in greens I'd bought off the auction house. Yeah, I have no problem admitting that.
I'm out of range.
That's what it was. Even some good tanks had some bad moments. Yeah, I was in greens from the auction house, and I may have had like 2 or 3 dungeon items at that point, where I was starting to turn that around and have solid, or not solid, but manageable defense rating. I still remember at this time, like one of my co-GMs, which was a holy priest. Oh, she must have hated me around this time. I was such a pain in the butt to heal. You see, like, now I feel for it, but then I just couldn't understand. Which is funny, because, like, I eventually followed her lead and started healing in Wrath of the Lich King. Not on a priest, but on my shaman, because I wanted a class that felt right for me to heal on. And at that point, I'd played Prot so often that I really did want higher armor class characters. And I'd healed on a Holy Paladin, and didn't like it. Absolutely didn't like it. I was mainly like a battleground healer. And where my brother would tell you I did well, because I got him good honor for it, I always thought I sucked. Always did, because I'd literally watch those bars just go back and forth. And if people don't remember back in the day, paladins were single target healers. That's pretty much all they were. They were tank healers. Or focus target healers. And there was no getting over that. And so at that point I was like, well, but I'm seeing all these other healers doing AoE healing, and I think I came to him a couple times. I'm like, where's your AoE heal button? And he's like, there isn't one for a paladin. I don't believe you. I think they have one. No, they really don't. They wouldn't until Cataclysm. That's how bad it got.
Hi.
Alright, so be sure to search her body. I don't want any traps laid by the Vile Branch to be hidden by their deaths. The parts scattered, the keepers separated. I see. This is a ritual to summon Shadra. They must not have gotten far. It should be destroyed. Okay, and we're gonna get some gloves out of it too.
Stay away from
Yay!
Yes.
And Eliza Darkrin, Dark Cleric Marnal. We can't toss that tablet aside just yet, Drakfu. We can use it. You see, I'm quite taken with the venom of the spiders here. It's clearly magical, probably related to that spider god the trolls are involved with, and if that tablet will allow someone to summon it, well, you can see where this is going. The Horde can't pass up this opportunity. Take the tablet to my fellow Forsaken. They are to the west, at the research station in the Hirawatha ruins. Okay? So, from Jintha'Alor, we are now going to the Hirawatha research station. So let's go ahead and make our way. Let's see if I can actually kind of finish up this story. Is there really anything else I need to add? This was around the time I felt so bad for my GM who was healing. Because basically, we had to fix every mistake that I had made while leveling. Instead of, like, all the times that I could have had a defensive rating item, I never took it. And so at that, like, I would always take the DPS one so that I could kill things faster. And then as soon as I hit cap, I just decked out in stamina. Again, thinking that's how it worked. So, oh man, and she had to heal me every time. She was the only healer in the guild at that point. We hadn't found another healer to work with. And I think by the time we did, and it was a paladin healer, he was off doing other things to get gear. Like, he had already a good portion of gear, and a buddy of his who did run with me occasionally was basically like taking alts to go gear him up. So we never actually had him run a dungeon with me. It was mainly that I ran with this priest. At least I don't remember. Yeah, because she didn't have alts at the time. So at that point, yeah, I was running with her priest, the guy who recruited me on his hunter. I wouldn't even see his warrior until we started doing Karazhan. And that was pretty much it. Like, that was the people that I ran with, plus the other buddy who we ran with his rogue. So we had a pretty solid group there. Good, because then I actually could learn. And it was all just, we need to get gear for you so that you can at least survive in Kara. And we can then gear you in Kara gear. Oh man, that was a hard time. Especially since a lot of the later dungeons became even more difficult. Like my first ever Shattered Halls run. Oh, Shattered Halls. That was hard to tank with the gear I had. I should have walked in there with better stuff. And I didn't. And unfortunately, this was one of those times where heroic dungeons were being introduced. And they were not what they are now. Like, Wrath kind of changed that, where heroics were more difficult, don't get me wrong, but not by much. Burning Crusade, like, redefined that and said, nope, they are stupid hard. You can't pug them. You have to run with your group. And unfortunately, the gear that we had with our groups, we weren't Kara geared. It was bad. It was not a good situation to be in. I'm so glad I didn't run the harder ones like Heroic Shattered Halls. That would have sucked. I hated Shattered Halls with a passion. The other one I hated was Shadow Labyrinth. And the only reason I hated that was because as soon as I got geared as a tank, I kind of became the impromptu raid leader or get people caught up with their attunements. And so I was literally running Shadow Labs a lot. I was running Steam Volts, I was running Shadow Labs, and Black Morass a lot. And those are, like, of Burning Crusade, those are the three instances I hate the most. They look good, but I hate them because I saw too much of them. Alright, so we are here at the Hirawatha Research Station, and I'm going to take a break for the story. And let's talk to Dark Cleric Manal. Ah, what have we here? Fascinating. Quite fascinating. So, the Eye of Shadra. Shadra must be summoned for certain. To allow an opportunity like this to pass us by would be foolish. While the apothecaries can make fine use of the god's venom, they are relatively inexperienced in ritual magic. Fortunately, I'm quite familiar with preparing dark convocations. You will bring the scattered parts of Shadra to me, and I will help bring her to this plane to be taken out. The first part is the Eye of Shadra, guarded in Agor-Watha to the north. Alright, in the battle for Anderhall. I just received the most curious missive. Curious indeed. The city of Anderhall is in the middle of a three-way war between the Forsaken, the Alliance, and the Scourge. It sounds like Sylvanas has made her move, and to make matters interesting, she's put Koltira Deathweaver, the Death Knight, in command. They've asked for you by name, Drakfu. Speak with Kellen Kuhn, the Bat Handler. He'll put you on the first bat out to Anderhall. So that's actually the lead-in to the next area that we're going to go to, which is the Western Plaguelands. So do that later. Can't make an omelet without. Marnal has been pestering me about this Shadra plot for days. I'm almost upset he actually found the tablet. I was ready for him to shut up about it. Despite his high talk of ritual magic, he's still going to need my help as much as I need his. I'm going to whip up a base medium with similar... You know what? I'm not going to bother rambling about the details. Just bring me the Shadra spawn eggs from Agol-Watha. There should be quite a few, guarded by the Vile Branch trolls.
Victory for Sylvanas.
Okay, so it looks like the next two quests are going to take us to Agol-Watha. Let's go ahead and go and grab some eggs, as well as the Eye of Shadra. But yeah, I'm sure, like, for every expansion, everybody has that one dungeon they hate. I had 3 from Burning Crusade, at least when they were progression content, when they were hard. I have no problem blowing through them now, although I don't like Shadow Labs. I'm not ever eager to walk in there. I've seen enough of that place. I'm done. There was actually a joke for a while there where I told my guild master that I just couldn't run Shadow Labs anymore. I've seen it too many times, and if people want to be attuned, then they can come talk to me, but I need to get other things done. And I think at that point he even offered, he was like, I'll run a few. I'll run a few to help you out. And thankfully by that point we had other characters that had viable alts that they could take. So we did have people that did have tank alts that could take a Shadow Labs run and do the attunements for Karazhan, so that I didn't have to do them all the time. That's good, because if I had to take Murmur one more time, I would have gone crazy. Or half of the other fights in there, honestly. The only one that I still find fun, to some extent, is the Blackheart the Insider fight. And the only reason I do is because of time for fun! Although my healer would not say the same thing, because, well, I was that obnoxious tank who would... Well, I was always in the Shadow Labs group that would kill the healer first. And I know a lot of people are actually going to scream at you, oh no, our group did that too. No, there were occasionally groups that wouldn't do that. They wouldn't target the healer first, they target each other. And as soon as the healer started tossing things out, then maybe they would attack the healer. These ones, like, if I took this priest, guaranteed she was getting attacked. And she probably wouldn't survive. I'm really glad I never did that on Heroic. It never would have worked. Okay, we have the Eye of Shadra. And with that, let's go ahead and turn things back in at the Hirawatha Research Station. Almost there. Yeah, I think it was around that time when I said I couldn't run the Karazhan attunement anymore. was when I was actually leveling my Druid alt at that time, my first Druid alt. Not the one that eventually become my Cataclysm main, but... But wait, what were you doing? I wanted a Worgen Druid, so... I hadn't touched the character in a while. I kind of got rid of it. It hit 70, but I never leveled it to 80. I had no intention. As soon as I heard that Worgen and Trolls were getting Druid, I was like, wait, there won't just be one race that can be Druids anymore. I don't have to be an Night Elf. I want to be a wolf person. So, because at least I'm going to get a unique Druid form, right? If only I knew. Because then everybody went that direction. Alright, let's turn in these quests.
Speak quickly.
I hope you brought enough. Good, good. Just put them over there. I've got my hands full. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the belt, or take the belt. Starvation diet. The spiders infesting the creeping ruin to the east are useless. We're calling them Shadraspawn now, and it's clear they're related to the spider god, but that doesn't change the fact that they're more trouble than they're worth. I'd much rather just wipe the little pests out. When you head to the creeping ruin, destroy any cocoons you find. They feed off the bodies inside for days, so depriving them of their meal will be much more effective than trying to squash them all.
Goodbye.
Okay, so Dark Cleric. If the tablet was a ruse, I will not be pleased that you find the eye. I'm pleased, Drakfu. That was quicker than I expected. And there we go. We've completed the minimum Hinterlands quest, but we're not done in here. The Fang of Shadra. We'll need the Fang of Shadra next. It's kept in the creeping ruins to the east, guarded by the Shadra's own spawn. The venom is strong, Drakfu. Don't get careless. Okay. So we've got that done. Let me go ahead and equip this new belt, which is slightly better than the belt I just got. Cool. And unfortunately, that's actually going to do it for this session of the Tale of Drakfu. So when we get back, we will finish up the remaining quests in the Hinterlands and move on to the Western Plaguelands. Until next time.